There's a pattern many thoughtful, intelligent people experience. They think deeply, they analyze carefully, they consider consequences, yet, when it comes to making decisions, something slows them down. Important choices get postponed, career moves delayed, opportunities considered for months. This pattern is known as decision paralysis. Today, we'll explore why it happens and how it can be resolved, and the deeper meaning underlining all this thing, and the deeper meaning underlining it. Why the brain fears the wrong decisions. The human brain evolved to minimize risk. That is how we are made in terms of biology for survival. When a decision could significantly affect identity or future direction, the brain increases caution. It starts asking, what if it fails? What if this creates regret? The mind begins searching for certainty, something to hold on to, something like a confirmation that it will be a success. But many life decisions do not offer certainty. When it comes to growth and when it comes to taking risks, taking one step further than your comfort zone, certainty doesn't come there, and it kills us from inside. It troubles us, it haunts us when we think about it. But then, what happens to the cost of unmade decisions? People often assume delaying a decision reduces the risk. That is when we do overthinking, over calculation, over analysis of everything before we want to launch something, before we want to do something. But in reality, it creates a different problem in itself. Unmade decisions occupy mental space. The brain continues processing them in the background, and this constant cognitive load drains energy without your knowledge. That's why prolonged indecision feels exhausting, because we are giving so much to it subconsciously. We are in a loop cycle of thinking it time and time again. Oh, should I do that? Oh, should I do this? How about I do it in this manner? How about I do it in this manner? We go in a spiral of overthinking and overanalysis so much that instead of focusing on positive points of it, we in turn give more weightage to the negative outcome. Why? Again, it links back to the certainty of success. And that is when we are at a spot that we are not able to take decisions, we are not able to do it. Doing it becomes a challenge because we are just stuck in an over analysis phase. That is when most of the time we start taking recommendations from people. We start asking people, 10 different people, 10 different opinion. You take their opinion, you put their opinion in the analysis mixer, and you get more new outcomes. And all this duration, you never took a step to do any of it. You just went on doing the over analysis channel. Then comes the overthinking and perfection part. Perfectionism intensifies decision paralysis to a maximum extent, as much as possible. When the brain believes a perfect choice must exist, it continues searching for it endlessly. But life rarely presents perfect options. Most decisions are simply different trades off. And progress happens when individuals accept this reality. Once you start hammering down one process to another process to third process, that is when generally we learn, we cope up, we take decisions, we learn, we take up, cope up with, and we take more decisions. That is how we move ahead, one step at a time. And when that one step at a time comes into picture, we learn from it. We learn from it in real time, we learn from it in real consciousness, instead of just analyzing it and waiting for that perfection thing to happen in our brain. Now, to eliminate this, training decision confidence is important. Confidence in decision making develops through patience. Small decisions build tolerance for uncertainty, and each decision teaches the brain that uncertainty is survivable. Gradually, the emotional pressure around decision decreases. And once you get used to that habit, used to getting the emotional pressure in control by taking steps without over analyzing every time, just a basic analysis, just a normal trial and test method, just a normal SWOT analysis of things, you tend to be okay with stepping your foot in that uncertain region, which is necessary for growth. That tolerance build up is the main way you learn to adapt, to grow, to survive, to move ahead. Or else you'll be always stuck in a survival loop of should I do this or no? Will it result in failure? Should I move ahead or no? In reset entropy framework, internal disorder increases when mental loops remain unresolved. And all these mental loops are nothing but increase of mental entropy. Unmet decisions create these loops and they keep on happening, and the worst part is they occupy your subconscious mind and they torture you internally. When decisions are made, the loop closes. Energy becomes available again. Clarity often appears after the commitment, not before. Before, you'll be just stuck in an analysis loop and you will never step into an action mode. And once you start ticking these loops which are there in your head, you can channelize the energy much more better to something which you know about, which you can do, which you can act upon, instead of utilizing all of it in the thinking phase. And all this is very important in terms of understanding that your energy is the key element, and you should be able to free up your energy to focus in a direction which is the most necessary direction, which is to implement, to take action upon, to choose an idea and hammer it down and go ahead with it. One of my coaches, name is Jaskaran, used to tell me that if you think that you can't do it, if you're finding a task difficult to do, if you're afraid to do a task, do it within the 5 second span of time. That is how you eliminate the overthinking phase. That is how you eliminate yourself into going in the spirals. That is how you move ahead. That is how you train your brain to take actions, not just think. If you notice yourself delaying important decisions repeatedly, it may not be because you lack clarity. There are much more deeper things associated to it. Many of the times, it happens so that we develop this through our childhood. As our ideas, as the things we used to put forward in terms of our parents, in terms of people who meant a lot to us, and those ideas, those topics, those information, those things which we felt were right when we used to put out in front of our parents and or someone who was close to us or someone who we looked up to, And they didn't consider it. They shunned us. They never acknowledged what we are feeling. They never acknowledged what we are trying to say. And we felt unheard. We felt that our opinions don't matter. It subconsciously felt that our decisions are not important. Those remain in us. And this is just an example of childhood. It can happen to a very recent example as well. Sometimes it develops in a relationship bound. Sometimes it develops with as we age with our parents when we are trying to tell them something and they just don't listen to us. Sometimes we are trying to say something to our reporting manager that this is one of the ideas what we think is correct, and instead of listening that person just directly shuns the idea. This all stays within us. So next time when we want to do something, we think 10,000 times, we analyze 10,000 times, we change our own identity and perspective and idea making skills and shut it down and keep it inside. And that is when we develop this behavior of us. And that is when we start delaying these important decisions. It may be because your mind is trying to avoid uncertainty, but this uncertainty development still comes from an incident or how you have nurtured to be in. But progress rarely waits for certainty. Sometimes the most powerful step forward is simply choosing.